You're out of heals and exhausted, but extraction is right there. You have so much loot that you really need, and dying right now would mean saying goodbye to all of it. But thankfully, your raid will end soon, and escape is within reach. Until you just encountered a rat, and your plans go awry. Now you don't even know if you'll make it back. And believe it or not, this is one of the best things that could have happened to you. Because rats actually make the game better. I know how crazy that sounds, but worry not, for I'll do my best to change your mind. So please join me on my feeble quest to stand my ground in defense of rats. For the few of you that don't know what a rat is, they are players that will use every dirty trick in the book. They will pretend to be friendly and backstab you, wait to ambush people in tight quarters, and camp extraction points. But why? You see, in this game, you drop into a map with a lot of gear, and your goal is to find more than what you get into. But there's a catch. If you die, you lose everything on your person permanently. So rats, instead of taking the risk to find that gear themselves, they try to find an easy prey so that they can just get the gear off them. In other words, they're attempting to profit of other people's work in a very underhanded manner. I don't think I need to go into detail why so many people in the community hate them. Yet even some of you might be surprised to learn that there are people that actually want to get them banned, even if they're not using any cheats and they're just using the game mechanics. Now, given the video title, I think you already know where I stand, and allow me to say that I personally believe that they make the game better. Given their reprehensible attitude, I know this might sound nonsensical, but please hear me out. I think rats are kinda like spiders. You might not actually like them, but they are essential for the ecosystem. And as detestable as they are, I also think that the rats are a net positive for not only the Arc Raiders gameplay loop itself, but also for its community. Yet, just like spiders, there are some moments where they are not so good, so allow me to get into those first. So people don't say I'm just a rat apologist, or even worse, a rat myself, since I consider myself to be a very friendly raider. Sometimes even too friendly, and that gets me killed. Now, those rat issues are twofold, and I don't think they stem from the rats themselves, but instead from other of the game systems that increase the player's frustrations when encountering rats. The first issue is the gear system. In a similar vein to other gear-oriented games, Arc Raiders features different levels of rarities for its gear, be it guns, grenades, or other utility. As you can imagine, higher rarity loot is harder to obtain and more expensive to get your hands on. An item being of higher rarity doesn't necessarily make it stronger. It is instead better at specific jobs, like for example, damaging large arc robots. What might surprise you is that some of the best weapons in the games for killing other players specifically are the most common weapons and the cheapest ones to get your hands on. Now you might think that this is incredible and it allows newer players to have a fighting chance against more enfranchised players, and I agree. The issue is that if you're trying to do some heavy event, like taking down the queen or matriarch, robots that require you to bring some of the heaviest, most expensive and rarest guns in the game, you will be unprepared to fight other players. This means that you're taking a huge risk when trying to fight that arc robot, whereas the rat faces almost no risk at all, because they're just bringing in the cheapest weapons in the whole game. And it gets even worse. Those weapons sometimes can be given on a free kit. You see, when you get into a match, you can choose to get a free kit instead of bringing your own gear, so you don't lose anything. The game just gives you new gear for you to fight. Think about this from the perspective of an average player. Not only do they have to contend with a rat, someone who is using underhanded tactics such as betrayal or camping, but in addition to that, the rat has no risk whatsoever involved in their nefarious schemes. The big appeal of Arc Raiders is to create tension due to the fear of permanent gear loss. But the rat is essentially playing a completely different game, because they have no risk whatsoever. Of course this is gonna frustrate players when they get killed by a rat using a free kit. This is a screenshot that I took of an attempt to bring a queen down. Look at me bringing legendary gear into this fight, and a rat almost killed me with the cheapest available tools they had on hand. The game balance and economy favors them immensely compared to someone who's trying to do PvE. With that out of the way, I will now move on to defend the rats, because I think the second issue is best left for last. I will illustrate my point by showing a game that I had. It is not an exceptional game, quite the contrary, I picked it because it was quite ordinary. I had a lance mission, and I also needed to find some items to upgrade one of my workbenches. To give some background, I spent the previous night PvPing with my friends, and as such I found myself on more hostile lobbies. What's more, the match right before this one, I was betrayed by a rat pretending to be a friendly, who shot me in the back. This means that this match I was way more alert, and as I was making my way towards my objective, I start to hear gunshots, and I managed to notice a raider near one of the tunnels shooting at what I assume is to be another raider due to the lack of arc. This is solos, and I don't wish to kill anyone that I come across, but at the same time, all my gear is close combat oriented, so I decide to instead approach stealthily with my gun at the ready and ask them if they're friendly once I am in an advantageous position. Are you friendly? Friendly? As soon as I ask them if they're friendly or not, they book it, and given the fact that they were shooting at what I assume to be another raider, I decide to not take the risk and shoot them. I don't want to run into this guy in the future and potentially kill me. I make it to my objective and acquire what I need to progress my quest. And not only that, I get some pretty good items. But as I traverse this compound, I'm always checking my corners, being careful, and listening around me. This is because I've heard some gunfights nearby, and I don't know who might be lurking around the next corner. Once I think I'm ready to leave, I make my way towards the extraction, and as I do, I stumble upon another raider. Not knowing if they're hostile or not, I decide to shoot them, but they refuse to fight back, and not only that, they flash their light at me. A very clear indication that they're a friendly raider, and as such, I decide to stop shooting. And to make amends, I decide to heal them and recharge their shield. And finally, we return to the clip at the start. A rat had perched themselves up and was waiting for anyone that might want to extract. My gear, like I said before, is mostly for close to medium range. I do have an anvil, but with a low ground disadvantage and lower muzzle velocity than a furrow, I feel like I'm in a very disadvantageous spot. And now I have two choices. Either try to fight them and make it to extraction, or make a run for it to the next extraction point that is closing quite soon. And so, I choose to take a run for it. I know it's also risky since they have the high ground and a furrow, and they could try to kill me. But thankfully, like most rats, they have a very poor aim, and I can get away scot-free. After a tense encounter with the Ark, I managed to escape. I know this is a very common and quite unexceptional match, but that's precisely the reason why I chose it for this example. Now I want to propose a thought experiment. Let's pretend that there are no rats and I never have to worry about them. In my first encounter, there's no reason for me to actually plan my route to that player, nor to ready my gun or be careful whatsoever. I can just sprint every time I have stamina available and just say, "Hello Raider, don't shoot." Then, as I approach my target, I don't need to actually check my corners, listen for threats, or pay attention. I'm just doing busy work. I have a shopping list, and I need to go get the thing that I want and get out. As I move towards extract, I just notice another raider, and we don't even need to interact with each other because there's no reason to doubt that we're gonna shoot each other, and we just move on our ways. Finally, I see extract in the distance, and I just go, push the button, wait a few seconds, get on the elevator, and return to Speranza. Now, which of those two games sounds more appealing to you? The one where things actually happened? Or the one where nothing happens, and I'm just doing busy work because the game requires me to do so? Because the thing is that most of the quests and events in the game are actually quite interesting, but not interesting enough by themselves. In a similar vein, the Ark are also kind of threatening, but not as threatening all by themselves. Most of the game systems benefit from the possibility of you having to be careful, because other players could be lurking, and they could be hostile. And that is the first way in which I consider that rats improve the game. They aid deliver Ark's Raiders fantasy, that the topside is a dangerous place, filled with not only Ark robots but rival raiders. There are lobbies that are so friendly where people don't even "Hey Raider" or don't shoot at you. They just run past you, they don't even acknowledge you. I just don't think this really helps deliver the game's fantasy. Very quickly, the game starts to feel way too familiar. All the tension is gone, and the topside doesn't really feel like a dangerous place. Because like I said before, the Arks are dangerous, but not as dangerous enough by themselves. I do not wish to give the impression that I dislike friendly lobbies, quite the contrary. What I'm trying to say is that I feel like they can be enhanced by the possibility of a rat being present. Because if I don't have to worry about a single raider, the game loses a lot of tension. I think this is one of the biggest reasons as to why rats are actually good for the game. But since I think that I've already exemplified it enough and explained it with my example of the game that I had, I think we can move into the next reason. The second reason is that they actually help the game's longevity and economy. The developers themselves said that they were surprised at how friendly players were, which indicates to me that they didn't make the game with the intention of you being able to drop into a lobby and ignore other players completely as you go around picking up anything you need. On the contrary, I think they were expecting the average casual player to sometimes have a match where they die and they lose their progress and they need to restock. And they planned their content drops based on that. But as soon as players realized that there is aggression-based matchmaking, they started to game the system, to get into lobbies where they don't need to worry about other players, because everyone is friendly. And now we have tons of players begging Embark for new content, claiming that they have a full stash and nothing to do with it, and that they've already experienced everything the game has to offer. Because I really don't think the game was designed for you to be able to safely extract 10 times in a row. So every time you're ambushed and killed by a rat on extraction, they're actually helping you with your game's longevity. Now, I do know how horrible that sounds. I still remember some of my worst rat encounters. So I'm very familiar with the sentiment of wanting to get rid of the rats and for you to be able to always get what you want. But sometimes you need to take your veggies, even if they are yucky. And losing your gear and that cool thing that you just found, it's simply part of the game. And I think it makes the game more interesting and enjoyable. Now, it would be quite rude of me to imply that I know what you personally find more enjoyable, but I would like for you to ask yourself the following question. Are those super friendly lobbies where you go into a match and just open containers for 12 minutes without ever having to worry about other players actually enjoyable, or are they just the most efficient thing you can do right now? And even after you do them, what comes next? Do you just keep going into friendly lobbies and opening containers until you have every blueprint? What is the actual end goal? I know that the response to all of this is just, Man, I just had a great run and I don't want a rat to ruin it. And I find it hard to argue against such raw emotion. All I can say is that while in that moment it feels terrible, in the long run it's actually gonna help you with your overall experience of the game. Because really think about it, what are some of the most memorable games you had? Are they the ones where you just go in and pick everything you want? Or are they the ones where your plans go awry, and a rat betrays you, and you lose everything that you had? And that is, in my opinion, the third way in which rats improve the game. They create memorable experiences.
Follow me!
I remember very few friendly lobbies experiences. There were some where people actually talked back to me. But most of them, people just said, "Hello Raider, don't shoot," and moved on, if they even interact at all. On the other hand, I still get angry when I think about the rats that have killed me. From my point of view, it's better to have a slightly frustrating game that is memorable than one where nothing really happened. I will proceed to play a few clips for you, so that you can see what I'm talking about.
After completing the antenna, we made our way to the bunker and somebody amongst us had other ideas. Where's the rat? Where's the rat? As I watch this man run away from the crime scene, I make my decision. I got him!
You got him? Do you feel good about your decisions?
Everyone get one hit. Everyone get one hit.
Hey, hold the door! Hold the door! You friendly? You friendly? I'm trying to get in. I'm trying to get in. I'm trying to get in. Okay, I'm in over here.
Hit the button down, guy. Hit the button. I don't trust this guy. I don't trust this guy.
Oh, wait. Let the down guy hit it. Let the down guy hit it.
You just backed me.
No.
I don't know, man.
You're not gonna hit the button.
No, if you hit it, I can protect you, bruh.
I'm kind of fucking dying here, guys.
Yo, you can hit it. You can hit it.
Hit the button. I'm shooting everyone.
See, look, we're all good. Oh. What the fuck is going on?
Now, I ask you, do any of these clips could ever exist if there were no rats whatsoever? I ask you to please separate your personal biases and emotionally charged memories from your encounters with rats, and the loot that you lost on those encounters. Because without rats, none of these moments would exist, nor will they be part of our collective experience. And ask yourself, would the game really be as memorable as it is without those little rodents on it? I think not. And I know what you're gonna say, but any name, in all of those clips, the rat lost. That's why we like them. And of course, people are gonna upload their triumphs, not their failures. And showing rats losing obviously makes for better content, because after all, they're Arc Raiders villains, are they not? Because I think they are, and the community has kinda come to that consensus as well. Which is the fourth reason into how I think they improve the game. They give us actual villains. Yes, it's true we have the Arc robots to contend with, but they're not very interesting antagonists, are they? It's more interesting to think about who's actually sending them into Earth in the first place. Rats on the other side are very clear villains. Not only that, they actually exist. They're real people that choose violence and betrayal every morning that they wake up. What better villain can we ask for? If anything, they rally that entire community. Everyone celebrates a rat dying. People clip those moments and share them online. And that's because without rats, we wouldn't have the amazing villains that we already have. Sure, we would have PvPers, but they would look a little bit more like this.
Why so mean? No, don't be mean! I'm friendly, I'm friendly!
I'm shooting at you, that means I'm not friendly.
But I am!
I can't kill anyone in this game, because everyone I tried to, the last guy I talked to, I literally said, I'm hostile, I'll shoot you. And he's like, no, don't shoot me. And I'm like, how am I supposed to do? I can't just,
And I do have to say, this guy is a gentleman. But a gentleman villain, he's not, for he refuses to take action when someone asks him to not shoot them. And as such, he's perpetually trapped in friendly lobbies, unable to get the PvP that he craves so deeply. And as such, I think we must thank rats for giving us actual villains. Even though that is actually the last problem with rats. Despite all the arguments that I've laid out on this video, I think it's nearly impossible to convince some people that rats are actually good for the game and for them not to find their attitude apprehensible. Because that is what I consider to be the second issue with rats. And it's that we humans simply have evolved to have a sense of fair play in our minds. To be fair, we're not alone, and there have been made experiments with other social animals where we have noticed that some degree of fair play is an evolutionary advantage. And as such, it's nearly impossible to tell a person who just got killed by a rat and had the run ruined that that rat is actually improving the game. How can you tell them that the person that isn't doing any work and just hides in a bush near extraction with a free kid actually makes the game better? That they're improving their economy and making their game experience last longer? And well, I think I just tried to do just that. You'll be the ones who judge if I was successful or not. But I still hold my other arguments firm, and I think that as soon as Embark fixes the issues with the free kits and gear balancing, people are gonna be a bit less apprehensive about rats and actually enjoy the level of shittiness they bring into the game. Now, I hope I'd managed to piss off a good amount of you, and I ask you to please feel free to leave an enraged comment below to drive the algorithm. I wouldn't be surprised if I lost the few subscribers that I already have. Either way, that will be all for today. Thank you very much for watching until the very end.